So right now, I would like to talk about Pride events because that's your big thing that you guys do every year. Like you said, it's like a 365 year-round job, really.
Right.
And there are not only one event, but there's several events that take place. So explain a little bit about exactly what you guys do.
We've actually extended Pride at this point to 10 days. It kicks off June 1st with an advocacy rally on the steps of the City County building. And in the past, we've had really dynamic speakers come in, including Stuart Milk, who's Harvey Milk's nephew. We've had Cleve Jones, who of course is the inventor of the AIDS Memorial Quilt. We had Nate Phelps, who is the son of Pastor Fred Phelps, who's the estranged son of him. And we've also had several people from the faith community. So we're working on the lineup for the advocacy rally. Mm-hmm. Throughout the week, we have what we call partner events, where we have folks like Coldwell Banker who may have a seminar on how to buy a house with your partner. We may have some attorneys who put some events together, such as estate planning and so on and so forth. And then the second weekend of Pride, which is also the weekend of the Arts Festival, really kicks off with a couple events. We have Splash, which is our fundraiser, pool party fundraiser, as well as Trans Pride. This is the second year where we've had a Trans Pride celebration, and those folks are really excited to even expand their events further this year. We have our famous pub crawl, which happens on Friday, June 8th, where we have buses traveling to 15 LGBT-friendly places all throughout town. You can go to one or you can go to all 15 of them, however much stamina you have. So that's exciting. That'll be Friday night. Saturday, of course, is Pride in the Street with our national entertainer. And then Sunday is the Pride Awareness March at noon, followed by Pride Fest, which is free and very family friendly with entertainment on 2 stages and all kinds of children's activity areas and a public safety area. So really fun.
It's a lot of stuff. So I can only imagine how crazy it must be for you actually planning this all. I mean, how do you even get through your days? You know?
Well, we're 2 months out at this point, so we're really thick in the throes of things. I'm working on the Pride magazine, which will be out the second weekend of May, which is really a comprehensive guide to Pittsburgh Pride. It'll be available all throughout the city at coffee shops and bars and restaurants. But it's also the official LGBT magazine of Pittsburgh, thanks to a marketing agreement we have with Visit Pittsburgh. So anyone who calls their offices looking for things to do in the city, they get a copy of the magazine. And now it's just firming up the details. You know, the sponsorships are sold and the Pride magazine's coming together, and now it's just working with the city, who is a tremendous partner of ours, just to make sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed.
I was going to ask too, Allegheny County is a big supporter of everything you guys do.
City of Pittsburgh and Mayor Ravenstahl fully supports what we're doing. Rich Fitzgerald, the county executive, also fully supports what we're doing, and hopefully we'll both be there at Pride Fest.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of the advocacy rally, I have to talk about that because that's one of my favorite events. I've gone to, the past 2 years I've gone to it, and you guys really do bring in amazing people who are huge leaders in the community. One, I actually have a picture of it. His name's Zach Walls, and he was on Ellen a few times. He has 2 lesbian parents, and he's from, is it Minnesota?
Iowa.
Iowa, okay.
Yes.
And he actually, he spoke up in, I guess, a city-county meeting.
Right, and he talked about how having 2 mothers, has two mothers, it doesn't make him any different than anyone else who has a mother and a father. And he really spoke very passionately. And if you haven't, it's become very much a big YouTube sensation. And we saw it last year kind of start at the beginning. And we're really thrilled to bring him in because he hadn't quite launched into his
It was his first time, I think,
It was
right?
his first time he'd ever spoken at an event, right. He was really kind of honored, and it was great to meet him. And he could really kind of understand what the hoopla was about, because that's his life. I mean, that's how he grew up, and he doesn't really know anything differently. But it's been really exciting to see him kind of grow and really kind of be out there and talking about it.
Definitely. Well, one thing I have to talk about too, of course, at Pride Fest, you see a lot of drag queens, right? It's a very fabulous event. You see a lot of colors, rainbow flags. So what are your favorite kind of performances to see at Pride Fest?
Oh, just the best part of Pride Fest is just watching all the people. We had 60,000 people on the street last year, which is a lot of people. And because it happens at the same time as the Arts Festival, lots of people from the Arts Festival that come and vice versa. So that's really neat to see. But it's, again, very family friendly. I mean, we talk about the children's activity area. There we have those kind of a big giant slide that you can slide down.
Yes.
We always talk about there's like a kid, and there's another kid, and then there's a drag queen, and then there's another kid, and there might be another drag queen.
Right.
But I mean, it's really, Pride Fest is really a celebration. I mean, people are just having a great time, and they're visiting all the vendor booths, and we have food booths, and we have entertainment. We have great dance performances lined up, and we'll have some drag queen performances, and it's a really fun day.
You brought in some people from RuPaul's Drag Race too. I saw last year.
We did. Last year we had Stacey Lane Matthews came in, and that was exciting. That happened like the week before the event. It was very last minute. But yeah, so it's as Pittsburgh continues to grow its pride, and we're kind of like, we call ourselves the little pride that could. You kind of have the big giant cities that do pride, but Pittsburgh is really looked upon as a very, very one of the most successful prides in in the country. And I think it's important that people realize that not everybody has pride events like we do in Pittsburgh. Some people just do a march, and some people just do a little festival. But we really have 10 days of great events.
And like you said, every year the attendance keeps growing and growing and growing. So where do you expect this event to be in, say, 10 years from now?
You know, that's interesting you bring that up, because we talk a lot about, you know, when full equality happens for everybody, what happens with pride, what happens, you know, am I going to be out of a job?
Hope not.
Yeah, me too. But I think there's always going to be a pride celebration. I think there's going to be always a reason to mark the occasion. I think it's important that we remember that back in 1969, there was a group of people that fought back and said, you know what, we're not taking this anymore at Stonewall up in New York City. And I think it's important that we continue to educate people about what that's about, and how, because there's a lot of shoulders that we're standing on to get us to where we are today. There's a lot of people who have fought for a long time and endured a lot of discrimination, and I think that we can't forget about those people. Definitely. And I think that that's what pride will, as it continues to grow and as civil rights continue to become more equal, I think we're going to see more historical stuff happening.
Definitely. I remember actually, I was talking to Gary, who's the president of the Delta Foundation. I was having a conversation with him, and he was telling me a story of how, I guess he got a letter from a boy.
We did.
Yeah.
We got a letter. We got a letter from a young man who told us that he wasn't really proud of it, but he snuck into Pride in the Street one year. He had been kicked out of his house. He was sleeping on the couch, and he really wasn't sure where his life was taking him. And he came to Pride in the Street, and he realized that, you know what, he's no different than anybody else. And here he was, surrounded by all this love and friends and people, and he enclosed a $20 bill to pay for his ticket from Pride in the Street. And we keep that letter, and we reference that letter on days when we're really kind of just fighting the fight, and we remember that what we do changes hearts and minds of people, and that's why we do Pride. Exactly.
So one last question before we go today. I don't want to leave, but I have one last question.
Okay.
If you can pick any performer, anybody I mean, to perform at Pride, who would you pick?
You know, that's funny. I ask people that question all the time. You know what they always tell me?
Cher,
Cher,
Britney,
Lady
Madonna,
Gaga, Madonna.
Yeah.
And I always say, give me their cell phone number and I'll call them. So I don't know. I mean, you know, I loved Patti LaBelle last year. I think Donna Summer would be great. But I think there's some young up and coming performers that are coming that would be really great. So
Definitely.
yeah, I don't know who my top performer would be, but I know a lot of people would love Lady Gaga, but that's not going to happen.
Would be literally, you would have so many people coming to Pride. I mean,
right.
You can charge like $200.
Right.
Honestly, you really could, and people would still come.
Right, but that's not what we do.
That's not the point.
That's not the point of Pride. Right. But that is funny. Yeah, Cher. I get a lot of Cher too.
Oh, of course. We can have Chad Michaels, who's on RuPaul's Drag Race now, and he does an amazing Cher impersonation.
He does do an amazing Cher impersonation.
Yeah.
Yes, he really does.
Well, thank you so much for coming. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have today. I want to give a big thanks to Chris for stopping by, and the Gay and Lesbian Community Center of Pittsburgh for being so gracious with our company. Thank you so much for watching Point News Now Extended. I'm AJ Zola. See you next time.